Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Find Your Mindset podcast. Today we're going to be discussing work-life balance. As always, I am Tim. Nothing's changed there. James, anything changed with you?
No, I'm still James. What would you expect him to change? Actually, you haven't commented on the fact that I've had a haircut and a beard trim. So that's changed. You're supposed to start by going, "Oh, James, nice haircut, nice beard, mate. You're looking trim." But you didn't say that. You let me down there, mate. It's fine. You know, my ego can take
I
it.
don't want to get cancelled, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. But yeah, cool. So work-life balance. I'll start off then, James. What does work-life balance mean to you? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think the key part of that sentence is to you. It'll be different for everybody. You put something quite good out. You put a post out leading up to the latest UFC, which we watched together yesterday.
Very good, by the way. Very
304.
good.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? But I mean, fair play to them. I know they acclimatized to it, but fighting at stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, there's no balance there.
I think that main event was at like 7:15 in the morning or 6:45 in the morning. That was still going on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an example of work-life balance as personal to the individual because can you imagine like they've all got families and some of them are kids, etc. And it's one thing for the fighters that are from the UK because you had Tom Aspinall and Paddy Pimblett and Arnold Allen, etc. They're British fighters.
And
But
Leon Edwards, but we won't talk about Leon Edwards.
yeah, I forgot about Leon for a sec. They're British fighters, aren't they? And they're still going to have to be away from their family. So I imagine there wasn't much balance between work and life because I think in a sport like that, your work is your life. I think it'd be very difficult to separate the two.
I think if you want to be the best at anything, work-life balance isn't a thing. It can't be achieved because your sole focus is on being a champion.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I don't think you can be a champion of something that you don't like. Never say never, but something has to be inside you to live and breathe and go, I want to be the best at this. And I'm going to compete my hardest to be the best at this.
I don't know. General Maximus would disagree with you.
But he was essentially a slave.
Well, yeah, but he didn't want to be a gladiator and he was the best at it.
No, okay, fair enough.
He didn't want. Right, for those of you who don't understand this reference, right, Gladiator 2 is about to come out, but for people that haven't seen the original, forget the original. Maximus, all he wants to do is go home. The Emperor realizes his son's a complete sociopath, and he realizes that Rome needs to become a republic again. So it needs to become an empire that is still an empire by definition, but it is run by representatives of the people, the Senate. So he has to give his powers to Russell Crowe's character Maximus because he realizes that he hasn't been corrupted by Rome. He's not the best person of the job on paper because he's not a politician. He's never been to Rome and he doesn't understand it. But because of that is his strength. So even though he doesn't want to do it, he agrees to do it because it's the right thing to do because he's the best person for the job. And then, as you said, he gets made into a slave, and he didn't want to be a gladiator either, but he's the best at that. So, I mean, that's a film reference. It's very rare, isn't it? That
no, it's true. It's true though, but it's the story's not true in itself, but the story would have echoed through time. He's also fighting for his life and honor, and it's a different time period there as well. But yeah, if we come to most people, I don't think that you can be the best at anything unless you want to live and breathe it. Unless you go.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Now, at that point, then I go, well, maybe they do have work-life balance. I don't think they do, but when you're that focused on being the best, everything else needs to fall by the wayside. But as you say, if you've got kids, wife, family, people around you, you need to be surrounded by people that believe in your vision and dream as well. And you have to be a very selfish person at that point. That sounds negative, but you have to be very selfish and be surrounded by selfless people that accept and allow you to.
Well, look, we that's hyper. We're talking about like it's not hyperbole, but we're talking about the stream of a situation like an athlete or maybe a musician.
I think we can learn a lot from that though, and what I mean by that is we always need extremists of everything to find the mediocre, don't you? You need the oh God, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but you need the hard right and you need the hard left to understand where the middle is.
Yeah, no, sorry, mate. That's not where I was going with it.
Apologies.
Yeah, that's cool. We're talking about like the high end of it, the high performers. Now, if we scale that back to us, for example, because as I said, what is work-life balance is a very personal question. You ran a gym.
Hmm.
You were getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning to run classes, and then you were working till late at night. Is it fair enough to say that sometimes your family situation was stretched because of that?
Oh, massively! It was one of the reasons why I eventually shut it down because I wasn't there in the evenings.
Right, there you go. So again, your family had to go with you on that journey because that's just what needed to happen. People go to work so they can either train in the morning or they have to train in the evening. Same thing for me. When Marley was born, my daughter was on the way. I think I've said this already to you. I was going to stay in the forces. I'd
Mm.
bottled it and I was going to remain in. And then when I found out I was going to be a father, that's the catalyst that made me leave because from a work-life balance perspective, I grew up in that background. And I also saw what was going on around me when I was still in. It's just divorces all over the place, kids everywhere, upheaval every 3 years when you move your whole family about it. So for the ones that survive that, that last, the family has to be fully behind that person. So let's say you go full 20, 22, 25 years, whatever it is, and you get yourself up to sergeant major, the wife, the kids and everything. There's a lot of sacrifice there, upheaval for the kids moving to different schools. The wife has to essentially put her career on hold a lot of times because she's supporting her husband. So it'd be slightly different nowadays because of the ability to work from home, etc. So that may have changed, but
Yeah,
uh, there,
possibly,
there,
but
there
you're
is a
still
lot.
going to be moving, aren't you? You're still going to be moved
Yeah.
about.
So there is a lot to say from I wouldn't call it. I don't mean to be disparaging, but the average person's life,
Yeah.
not so much a high end athlete or famous person.
Well, even now, our work-life balance, I think we probably have a fairly good job at this, but we still at least once a week have a meeting once the kids have gone to bed between all three of us. That's usually an hour or so,
Mm.
which most people would go, that sounds unreasonable. But you go, well, we're out training.
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not to me. I mean, again, it's
No.
the individual's perspective, and maybe it's a lot. It's a constant thing as well. It doesn't just you don't strive, you get it, and then it's over. I think
Yeah.
as life changes, your perspective of what that balance looks like is as well as we go.
Yeah, and I think as your wants and needs change as well. For
Yeah.
me, and I know we tried recording this podcast on work life balance previously when my little girl was at home, and I think I had to wipe her bum once. There's definitely food. Usually the usual trick of his, the iPad didn't work,
Yeah.
and you saw work life balance not working in in action there. So yeah, chops and changes. It picks its moments, but you were discussing from memory on that point about having to manage work, your marriage, your kids, and your social time. If I'm remembering that correct, around your work life balance. So how do you manage work life balance?
Um. First off, I don't really consider it, or I very rarely refer to it as work-life balance. It's a bit like when I talk about mental health, I kind of get peeved off of having to actually separate health down into mental and physical because I think it's a holistic thing. I think work-life balance is just life in general. Does that make sense? I
Absolutely, I
mean,
think that's a,
we
a very good way of looking at it.
so that's my perspective from the off. It never used to be like that. I did used to be one of those individuals that would, and not when I was in the forces, but certainly when I came out the other side, I was very much one of those individuals. Was like, oh bloody hell, it's Monday, and you get to Wednesday.
Weekend warrior.
Yeah, you get to Wednesday, you're like, oh, great, we're halfway through the week, and you get to Friday, and it's Friday, and I hate that now. Like for me, I mean, hate's a strong word, but I massively dislike that mindset for me, because you're just wishing your life away. You're
Yeah.
waking up every day, and you're wishing your life away. So the first thing I do, and I think you know what's coming, I get up, let my dogs out, I have my coffee, I stand in the garden, especially in this nice weather, stand in the garden, and I think about what's going good in my life. Like what am I not acknowledging that is good? And I just tick all that stuff off in my head. And I think it's massively important to practice gratitude for what you have. Because even if things are going wrong and there is an element of it feels like the world's against you, there'll always be things that are positive to look at. And look, I'm practicing what I preach. Let's just rattle off what's happened in my situation the last year. All right, we lost a dog, which was
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
that was brutal.
Heartbreaking for me. I lost my nan to cancer. That went on for a long time. My sister lost two babies that were one was stillborn. Essentially, the other little girl made it a few days and then passed away. It's been, my parents have got divorced. It's been a rough first sort of 7 months to the year. But I have got
And
through that.
and you've started a business as well, which
Yeah.
sounds like a positive, but it comes with its own
Yeah,
stresses and trials and tribulations.
even good things can cause, stress and upheaval. But I'm in a good place. I'm not. I haven't slipped back into any real negative habits, and it is because I've put that into practice. All those things I just said are awful things, but look, let's just knock them off one by one. Bella, the dog we lost, she needed a home. She needed to be rehomed. We gave her 2 years after being left at home constantly, and she was sad and depressed. That's a good thing. My nan nearly got to 90. That's a good innings, and she had a great life. My sister losing those two children was awful, but we could have lost her as well. We could have lost
Yeah.
her as well quite easily. And starting this new business, it is stressful, it is hard, but I get to work with two people that professionally I enjoy work with, but they're also my friends. There's good in everything,
Yeah.
and that's not me silver lining it either. That is how I feel about it. That's the honesty behind it.
It's I mean, that's almost more gratitude than the work life balance. They're going hand in hand there. But I agree with you. You can find the good in everything. Any situation, there is something in there, even if it is a very hard lesson you've cocked up. Well, the good thing is you can learn how to not do it again.
But that's how I get work. That's how I balance. If I'm going to balance
Yeah.
anything, because if I started off every day like that, there would be no work life balance. Because I'm not balanced. I'm all over the shop. Everything is just pulling me in a negative direction. So I try to
Yes.
try to. How about you? Like work life balance for you? Like what does that mean to you?
For me, I I go through phases, so I can get very very locked into just work 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 work, and I have to rein myself in. And then I can also get locked into being lazy and going, oh, fun stuff, fun stuff, fun stuff. And that's when I notice, particularly go, oh, it's only Wednesday. And that's pretty rare, but you go, oh, it's only Wednesday, oh, it's Friday. Now, look, we're always going to have those moments. If you've got a holiday coming up, sorry, little cough there. We're always going to have those moments where, if you've got a holiday coming up or something fun coming up, if you've got a track day in some fancy muscle meathead car, there is going to be an element, always going to be an element, oh man, it's Monday. I want it to be next weekend already because that's when I'm doing the fun thing. But if you are living for that weekend, I really struggle with that. But I notice it in me if I start going, it's only Wednesday. I'm like, hang on, am I concentrating too much on work here, or am I concentrating too much on fun stuff here?
Mm.
Actually taking stock, and actually, yeah, probably subconsciously going into the gratitude of going, hang on, I've got a pretty easy job.
Mm.
There's stresses with it or pressures with it, but it's a pretty easy job. I'm not being micromanaged by anyone. I don't have to clock in to a time clock. I'm accountable to myself and I'm accountable to you two. Work life balance for me is, again, it's being able to be there for the kids. My old man wasn't massively around when I was younger, so I do try and be there more for the kids than maybe I need to be. Maybe that's a bit of a bad statement. I don't know. Be that, what do they call it, a helicopter parent? I'm not one of those, but actually, I enjoy hanging out with them. I enjoy doing stuff with them. But sometimes as well, I do recognise. Sometimes I go, I need space from you two. I've been
Mm.
around you too much now. I need distance.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do stuff for myself. I like to learn stuff. I like learning skills. I like learning little tricks, not magic tricks, but like tricks to make things more efficient, or little habits and traits, disciplines. If I'm doing those and I've got time for those, generally I feel fairly balanced.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think a key part of finding what works for you, again, like we talk about quite a lot, is personal development. I
Mm.
think sometimes, I mean, it just wouldn't work for me if I just got to a position and went, right, that's it, no more learning, no more getting better at things. That just wouldn't work. That would cause me stress actually, because I'd just be existing, not
Yeah.
not living.
How do you be the optimal human?
Yeah,
And optimal is, again, it's individual, because some people are better with their hands, some people are better with their minds. We can all get better at everything,
yeah,
but some people are going to naturally excel at more academic tasks, maybe more academic, or excel more at playing chess, or playing Sudoku or something like that. Whereas other people will excel more at making crafts, painting.
yeah. I mean, look, there's caveats to this because in this day and age, there's always going to be someone go, "Well, what about if you're disabled, or what about if you've got this, or what about you got that?" That's not what we're talking about. But even then,
Those people that say that, though, have got something missing from their life, and they need to reflect before they judge.
yeah, 100%. I think another thing when it comes to the whole work-life balance element of it as well, is you don't have the feelings of enjoyment without the feelings of. I think what I'm trying to say is you're not going to enjoy something till it's most if you haven't worked for it.
My when I did kung fu, my sifu used to say, "You have to bite the lemon to appreciate the honey."
That's a good
If
way of
all
putting
you've got is sweetness, then
it. Yeah,
your baseline of what's sweet is gone. Whereas if you have something bitter, suddenly that sweet tastes sweeter.
yeah. It's that sometimes people talk about life as if, or I have heard life being talked about this way. It's I need to get to a position where essentially that I don't do anything, like a utopia where we're all going to
Yeah,
share. And utopia means nowhere. That's the translation of it. And going nowhere doesn't sound great to me.
no.
It doesn't sound
It's
great to me.
now it's nice for a week or two. You've got a
Yeah.
holiday coming up. It's nice to sit by the pool, chill out, maybe drink a few too many pina coladas, and go nowhere for a couple of weeks. That's nice, but
Mhm.
that's not life.
No, it's not. That's not how life works. It's weird, isn't it, that that you may trick yourself into thinking that that's what you want. I just want to do that all the time. I mean, I'd like to think that if I ever got to a position, let's say money wasn't an issue anymore, and it's like, right, you do what you want, I would get really good at stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah,
Like, for example, I'd learn, I'm self-taught on guitar and bass. I'd learn how to play it properly. I'd get in some really talented coaches and I'd start again. I'd like literally start from the ground up and start again, and I get really good at it. And I'd spend so much time doing jujitsu. I'd like to think that I would get good at stuff that I enjoy and
you
not just
you
sit around and
you'd be a lot of the ways I view myself with a lot of skills I have is a jack of all, master of none. You know, I'm average at a fair few little things, but actually to dedicate and go, no, I'm gonna master something.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say I can't pick one and do that now.
Yeah. No, I
But
certainly could, but I choose not to.
yeah, I pick other stuff. I'm a magpie. I get distracted by shiny things.
Mm.
Whereas if I had infinite money, didn't have to work, yeah, I'm gonna almost treat it like I'm gonna schedule my day like a job. I'm like, all right, this 2 hours is jujitsu. This 2 hours is music lessons. This 2 hours is, I don't know, golf. I wouldn't play golf, but golf lessons or whatever. I go, actually, I want to get really good at that.
Mm. Maybe we've talked ourselves round into saying that work-life balance is bullshit, and actually you should just concentrate on scheduling your life to include work and life and home, and look at it that way.
Well, that comes to that comes round to the understand, adapt, evolve, overcome, doesn't it? It's the tools for finding it. Again, list out, schedule your time, understand that life doesn't matter, and at times work is going to overtake, and sometimes your social. Realistically, I'm going to say work's probably going to be more of a kick in the teeth than your social time. But you need to understand as well that sometimes you can get too not bogged down. That's the wrong word. Too magnetized to the fun stuff, and you start sacking off work, and you get static at work, or less productive.
I think with the understand as well, you've got to think about, right, what do I actually want to do? Like if you really love something and you're like, I'd like to turn that into my work. So, that striving for you'll never work a day in your life if you do something you love. Very few people actually achieve that. But if you want to have a go at it, then I would always encourage someone to do it. Do it.
100%.
Go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Even if you fail, you will learn so much along the way. But most of us, unfortunately, we kind of end up in positions because by the time we figure out what's going on and then we get a bit of wisdom in us, it's not just us that's on the line. We've now got responsibilities, i.e., wives and kids and all that stuff. So it's not impossible, but it's more difficult. So I'd say understand like what you want to do. If you're going to strive for that, this is what I want to do because I love it. Then do it. But again, just because you find yourself in it, look. I didn't ever envisage the only job that I've ever wanted to do was be a Royal Marine. That's the only job. I'm 39 years old nearly. That is the only job I look back and go, that is what I wanted to do. All right. And I know this is going to be a weird thing to say. We work together now, obviously, with our coaching business, our training business. That was not on the radar. It's not something that I would have chosen to do. Right.
That's fair.
But for some reason, whatever reason that be, I'm pretty reasonably talented at teaching occupational health and safety. So I've chosen to go, all right, well, that is what I'm good at. I am good at that. I am going to use that to fulfill me financially to satisfy that need, but it allows me to do other things that I really do enjoy. So you
Money
have to have
can
that
buy happiness.
yeah, you have to understand, right, what am I going to do? What are my aims? What are my goals? What's important to me? And then once you've done
Yeah.
that element of it, you can start to adapt your life, can't you? Because
Yeah.
if you're going to go, right, I want to compete in jiu-jitsu. That's what I want to be. I'm 15 years old. That's what I want to be. Well, you're going to be training 5 to 6 days a week.
You don't have work-life balance at that point.
No, you're gonna have to, if you're in, you're in. You're gonna have to go for it. You're gonna have to go full whack. So you are gonna have to adapt things around that, right? And you're gonna have to make sacrifices. The evolve element to me fits quite nicely in this because you are naturally going to, once you've adapted and set your goals and you do it properly and you revisit them, you are going to see progress as you move
Yep.
forward in that journey. And an overcome, well, that really is the tricky bit, isn't it? Because if we're using something like jiu-jitsu, you're going to get injured. You're very
Yeah.
likely going to get injured. You're going to plateau. I mean, that I don't know. We've only been doing it a while, but I can see that already. There are people that have already left that I started with that cannot handle the little micro progressions because
because they're not black belts already.
yeah, you're gonna plateau. You're gonna plateau, and you're gonna have to, as we talked about in a previous session, you're gonna have to figure out that motivation and discipline.
Yeah,
Because that's when the discipline's going to kick in. You're going to have to let it kick in because you are going to get stuck, and the only way to get past that is to keep showing up.
yeah,
Keep showing up, and then take the wins. Go, all right, that was a hard session. I got my ass handed to me, but I did learn this one thing. I did learn this thing, and now I'm gonna add that to my little micro progression list.
yeah.
That's how
Couldn't
I
say-
think you apply that understand, adapt, evolve, overcome in this scenario.
Yeah, I think that's very good. Yeah, I don't think I could say that better myself. Work-life balance. It's bullshit. Can't be achieved. Is that the crux of it?
Oh,
Yeah, no.
no, I
It's-
think so. I think some people. I certainly struggle to. For myself to say like I have achieved it.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
but what I would
I
say,
think that's a very British thing as well. It's like cut the tall poppies down. We don't
yeah,
want to celebrate our victories.
what I would say for me personally at the moment in this point in my life, I think I have enough time to pursue the things I want to do. I have enough time to spend with my family and support them in the things they want to do. I think together we come together outside of any of our, work commitments or school commitments with my kids, and we're able to spend time together. So, if you were to define work-life balance, I think for me, in the classical element of, balancing off work and my personal life, I'm happy with where I am at the moment. But it's going to be different for everyone, and things will
I think
probably change.
that's. I mean, that's a hard to quantify benchmark. But actually, if you look at yourself and go, actually, am I happy? Are there pros and cons list? Are there more pros or more cons? If there's more cons, you've probably got on either side of it. You've probably not got very good work life
Well,
balance. If
maybe,
you've got more pros or you feel happy, I'm good.
maybe you've hit the nail on the head. The question isn't have I got work-life balance. The question is, am I happy? Maybe that, am I happy is the question.
And then you got to break down what happy means, but that's a different podcast.
We'll do that another time. It's Monday morning, and it's Monday morning, and I need to get to Happy Hump Day on Wednesday.
Oh,
My
don't
brain
get me started on that. I'm not happy with how round my face looks without a beard. But,
Mate, I have
like
the same issue. When I take mine off, it's like, yeah, my chin is like there. I'm like, what?
yeah.
Why have I not got a longer?
I look like a mole that's just emerged from the ground. Right. There you go. You got to have humour about it as well. On that note, excellent. I shall see you for our next podcast. I think our next one's going to be a good one. I think we're going to do movies just because it'd be something different, something fun.
Cool. I'm up for that, mate. That sounds fun.
Toodaloo's.
Toodaloo. See you next time.